Hello out there to you. In this video, we're going to use Excel to make a graph, a monopsony graph, which you might be asked to do, or you might want to do it. Here we've been giving some data. A monopsony, by the way, is a single buyer. In this case, it's a single firm in the area that's hiring either a specific type of labor or just they're the only employer that matters in the certain area. Okay, so we might say that they have monopsony power. Okay, so we want to do this in Excel. We're going to have Excel do the work and draw the graph. You could, of course, draw this by hand on graph paper, no problem. So I've got the wage. As the wage goes up, I get a higher supply of labor, and an assumption here is that I'm going to have to pay all of the workers the same wage to get that number of workers to show up. So I've copied all of this data here. Marginal revenue product of labor, that's calculated as it's the marginal product of labor times the price of the product that's being sold. So we're given that. This is a lot like saying the demand for labor. Okay. And then this right here would be the supply. So if it was a competitive market, we would just hire workers as long as this is higher than this. So I would hire 22 workers. No, I would, no. What am I talking about? I would keep hiring up until this. This is a quantity right here. Up until this is higher than this. So I'm going to hire actually 26 workers if it's perfectly competitive. But this market is not perfectly competitive. It's a monopsony. So I need to add some things to get Excel to do my graph. So I want total labor cost. Okay, you could write that out if you wanted to, but I'm going to just leave it as TLC for total labor cost. And then here I'm going to say marginal labor cost. So I could, if you instead of calling it labor cost, you could call it factor cost or resource cost. It's all the same thing, either one, whatever you'd like to call it. So total labor cost is, we're going to write a formula. We hit equals sign on our Excel here. Let me zoom in a little bit here. I'm going to hit equals, and we're going to multiply the wage times the number of workers. So 18 workers getting paid $4 per hour. That gives us a total labor cost of $72. Okay. Now I'm just going to copy that formula all the way down. I could continue to do that, but I don't need to. So it's already doing the math. You can see more workers I hire, I have to pay the higher wages, and it's going to increase my total labor cost. Okay. Next, I want to calculate the marginal labor cost. So the marginal labor cost is the change in total labor cost divided by the change in quantity of labor, okay, which is the labor supply. Now here it's always 1. So I can kind of skip that part. I don't need to really write that as part of my formula, but so it would just be this. It's the difference between this and this. And I'm just going to leave it as that. If you had a different number here, you would want this formula. Put these guys in parentheses here, and then divide it by the change here. Do the same thing. Okay, so you could do that. All right, I'm just going to copy that all the way down. So here's the marginal labor cost. So just from the table, I can see here that I'm going to hire workers up until this equals this. So I'm going to hire 21 workers instead of the 26. So 5 workers aren't going to get hired. And then I'm going to pay lower wages. I'm going to pay $7 an hour instead of the 12. Okay, so workers are worse off in this situation. So I'm going to highlight everything, and I'm going to go up to Insert, and I'm going to go to Charts. You could use either one if you wanted to, the rounded one or the straight line one. I'm going to use straight line, and it comes up with something goofy. Okay, so this is not right. This is not what I want. This one right here is total labor cost. That's not really part of my equation here, so I'm just going to delete that. So all I did was I clicked on it so that it's right there, and then I just hit the delete key on my keyboard. Okay. Now this one's actually fine, except the problem is the wages are on the x-axis and the quantities on the y-axis. So I have to flip this around. So I'm going to right-click on this, and I'm going to go to Format Plot Area, and that's not right. So I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to go to Select Data. There you go. Just making sure you're paying attention. Okay, now I'm going to click on this labor supply. and I'm going to hit edit. And we can leave the name. You could change the name to whatever you want. Okay, so then the X values is going to be the units here. So I highlighted that and deleted that, and then this will be what I want on the X axis. And then over here, I want the wage, so that now these two will correspond together. Okay, and there's labor supply. Okay, so it makes sense at $4 an hour, I get 18 workers. Right? It's just going up like that. Okay, the next one is the marginal revenue product of labor. So if you want to change the name, you can do it there. We're going to do the same thing. So I deleted that, and the X values are going to be right here. And then I'm going to delete this, and the Y values are this, because this is anything. Anytime anything's measured in money, it's going to be a Y value. Now I'm going to click on marginal labor cost, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to delete what's in the X, and this is the quantity right here. And I'm going to delete what's in the Y. And this one is marginal labor cost. So I want this one to go over, oops. Okay. And I have a missing value on this. So there we go. We fixed it. We could give it a name if you want to. You can call it monopsony labor market. And now I've got wages over here. And then depending on what you're doing with this, okay, so you could see right here, this is where it's like 27 equals 27. And then, oh, off by a little bit. Yeah, so off. Good thing I fixed it. So if that happens, click on there and you can move your data around now. So anyway, so that's right there. And then follow that all the way down to labor supply, and that hits it at 7. You can see what your answers are. Okay. Now we got kind of too much stuff here, so we can go to format axis, and do we want maximum to go up to 35? Nah, let's change that to 30. Units, we could change that to 2, and actually let's change that to 1. And then the minimum, we don't want to start at 0. Let's start it at 16. So let's start at 17. That's a little bit better. Okay, and then if you want to change that one, I think the highest wage there is our highest number we have there is like around 40. Nope, 45. Is there a larger number than 45 somewhere? I suppose there must be. And then the minimum is fine, and then units, you could change it to 2. You could change it to 1 if you wanted to. Whatever you want. Change that all around. I guess that looks a little goofy. And that is how to create a monopsony graph using Excel data that you got from a problem.